This is nice. Good lighting.
It seems we are live, my friend.
Are we live?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, people starting to join. Look at that.
Yeah, I can see both our audiences are joining.
Are we a little bit overexposed? There, that's better.
Yeah, not the same complexion, I guess.
So we're live on 4 different platforms right now.
Yes.
4. Instagram. No,
Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and hopefully YouTube. If not, I'm going to put it up there after.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome to an episode of the Sparring Pod.
The Sparring Pod.
Yeah. The Sparring Pod is a podcast where I talk to interesting people about design, creativity, leadership, and stuff like that. And hopefully I find out some interesting facts about the people I talk to.
Right.
For those that don't know him, this is Kyle. Say hello to Kyle, everyone.
Hello.
Kyle is a tattoo artist.
And, yeah, works.
Traveling tattoo artist. And you do all sorts of different tattoos, but I think one of the things that I found to be most appealing about your work was the way you kind of capture the faces of people.
Yeah, portraits,
yes.
Yeah.
So can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Myself?
Yeah.
Well, I've always been a fan of art and drawing. So ever since I was young, I knew that I was going to be doing something within, doing something creative with my life.
Mm-hmm.
Because my 2 biggest hobbies growing up was drawing and the music. So, growing up, I was it was very 50-50 between 2, like music or drawing. But it wasn't before when I got into my teens that I realized that drawing was more my thing.
Yeah.
So when I applied for Norwegian secondary school, videregående, I applied for architecture, which is because I was good at maths and I was good at drawing. So I thought maths plus drawing, architecture. And also one of my favorite games growing up was The Sims. I used to love designing houses and all that. So I thought, that would be a cool job to try out. So I started what's called Studiespes med formgivningsfag, which is general school, but with a hint of architecture and arts. So I just started with that line, and then it was just it was winter time. I was walking around my hometown, very small town called Grimstad in the south of Norway, just looking for a summer job, and I happened to stumble upon this tattoo shop that had just opened. They hadn't even put up the signs or anything yet. It was just an empty building, a halfly empty building. But I looked inside and saw there was a lot of artwork on the walls, and I thought, this looks like a pretty artsy place. I could check out, see what's inside here. And that day, I coincidentally had my drawings with me back home from school that day. Yeah. I've been doing some drawing things at school, so I had my drawings with me. So I popped by the studio and asked if maybe I can help wash the floor, or do you need an extra hand this summer? And we just ended up in a conversation, and I found out, this is a tattoo studio. I didn't know anything about tattoos. I had one tattoo from before. I got my first tattoo when I was 15, on a holiday in Spain.
Yeah.
But apart from that, I didn't know anything about tattoos. But then we ended up in a long conversation, and that conversation ended up with him offering me an apprenticeship at his studio if I could be interested. But then, then and there, it wasn't I went for it straight away, because I was doing good at school, studying architecture and all that. But then since that day, pretty much every day after school, it
basically planted a seed.
It planted a seed, yeah. So I was I was very interested in it, because I thought, it was a cool job and all that. So yeah, every day after school, I popped by the studio just to say what's up. It became my regular hanging out place.
Yeah.
And just to learn more about the industry, watch the guy tattoo, and then after a few months, then I got hooked on it. I thought it was a super cool job. And after a while, I knew that like this is a perfect job for me. Like at that point, I couldn't imagine myself just sitting in an office somewhere, just drawing buildings every day.
No.
So at that point, it was I just started the second term of the architecture school, and then I was given an ultimatum by my boss. And he said like, the boss at the studio. He was my boss yet, but then he told me like, either I take the apprenticeship now, or I gotta look for someone else, because he was saving it for me, like, because he wanted me to be his apprentice. But I was like, I'm not quite sure yet. But then when I got the ultimatum, I was like, all right, okay, this is what I gotta do. Yeah. So at that point, I was 16 years old, and I quit architecture school to become a tattooist.
Can I? What was your first tattoo?
My first tattoo is a tattoo I've got on my leg here. I can show you. It's it's like a combination. I don't know if anyone can see this. Yeah, it's over here. There's a combination of a G clef and the treble clef and the bass clef. Yeah. Because then there's like music and arts. Yeah. So this is maybe like a sort of like a tribute to my musical side of me, which I kind of abandoned when I went for the drawing. Yeah, first. But
it's a clever tattoo also. Did you kind of find it at the tattoo shop, or
this one?
Did you draw it yourself?
I actually drew it myself. I found a treble clef and the bass clef, and just like put it together. Like a pretty simple design, really, like putting two things together.
Yes, but not all, but most designs are quite simple after it's done.
Yeah, you can say. If you look at the design, you can like, at least in realism, you can tell like, there's a lot of details in it, but there's not often you like think about the process and the whole process behind it. Yeah, sometimes it can be a pretty lengthy process.
Because we do some logo work and stuff like that, and sometimes when we have clients that don't think that much about like the processes and stuff, it's but this is a really simple logo. I could have drawn this. Yeah. Do you ever get anyone saying something like that? Like, this isn't a very complex.
Sometimes when like I present the design to a client, or even when like a client shows up for the appointment, and like a lot of the times I start with the design then and there, whereas most clients like expect that I already have a full-on design ready. But then they're surprised by how quickly like the design process can be, depending on like the complexity of the design. It's a pretty complex design. If I'm going to be designing full sleeve, for example, that takes a long time. But the one thing that takes the most time is finding the references for the design. Yeah. So I could spend like again, it depends on like on the reference. If it's like a pretty far out thing you want tattooed, like a rare bird or something, then it takes longer to find the references. But if it's a pretty like mainstream or like a pretty popular sort of element you want in your design, then it doesn't take that long to find the references. Once to find the references, like I've been using Photoshop for years and years, so like putting it together doesn't really take that long. But the amount of time it takes to visualize a design up in the head, and again, it depends on the complexity. Yeah.
What are the things you do fancy most about your work? What brings you the most joy with working with tattoos?
What brings me the most joy with working with tattoos? Yeah. There's a lot of things really, but I think the first thing that pops to my head is the one-on-one connection you get with the client. Yeah. Because especially in my style, I like in photorealism, like pretty much every client I have, every client I have is wanting like something big. Yeah. Most of the time I do like quarter sleeves. Every day is like a quarter sleeve, and then quarter sleeves usually take everything from like 5 to 7, 8, 9, 10 hours, depending on the details and all that. So in that amount of time, you get the chance to really get to know a person, and like that's one of the things I probably appreciate the most with my line of work, is that I have the opportunity to meet so many different people, different backgrounds, and from all around the place, especially like after traveling on the world for a year now. I've met so many people from all over the place. You get a really big picture of diversity and how awesome people can be. You know?
Yeah. Do you ever meet like really boring people, or do they tend to not want the tattoo?
Oh well, I'm pretty lucky with my clients actually. Most, pretty much all of the clients I've had the past year probably have it's just been awesome people. Yeah. I think it's also at the same time like the people like I book via Instagram, so the people who follow me, they I feel like they sort of know a bit. They know my style, they know what I do. Yeah. And I feel sometimes like people who follow me for a long time, they almost know like the person I am. So like it's easy to get a connection with most people. But if I tattoo someone and they don't speak that much, then I usually just like zone out and then I'm just in my own world, and I enjoy that a lot too. Like having a few of these days now and again, just zoning out, listening to music.
Yeah. Okay. What's your favorite music to listen to while tattooing?
Well, that varies a lot. Like in my musical taste is such a variety of different genres. I've been listening to so many different genres throughout the past years. Because the thing is, like when you're in a line of work where you're listening to music pretty much every single day, the whole day, like you can't stick to one genre. You have to mix it up a bit, or else you get a bit bored with it. But like nowadays, I listen to mostly hip hop, like trap hip hop, or psytrance actually. Psychedelic trance. Yeah, I got hooked on that after a festival in like northern Berlin this summer. It really gets your energy levels up. Yeah. So especially like right at the end of a 10-hour session, put on some psytrance and you're like, it brings you through the last couple hours.
Yeah, cool. Is there anything you don't like about tattooing people, or
anything I don't like? Well, you can say that towards the end of a long session, which is like, I only do long sessions. Like sometimes people are in a bit of pain, and I sort of feel like a little bit of a psycho sometimes when I'm sitting here tattooing them, and they're in so much pain. Like if I just touch them slightly, they're like, oh. And then I'm sitting there with my machine with the needles, and like all right, we're just a little bit long now. And then we're working on, and like I know that there's maybe like an hour left. I'm saying, oh, we're almost there. We're just keep hang on in there, and then like they're in pain, and like,
but did you like the pain in your clients, or?
No, I can't say enjoy that part. But, okay. You have to keep a smile on your face and like keep their hopes up.
So we've talked about music. We have talked about what kind of process do you have for designing?
Like design process.
Yes.
So a client comes to me. Well, he sends a DM usually with like the ideas they want, like designs, elements. Just send me pictures of like other tattoos that they like. So I get a sort of an idea like what direction they want to go in with their sleeve. Yeah. And usually, like I've got a theme to go. If it's like Greek mythology, if it's like nautical, but like religious, can be like nature, botanical, like whatever. And as long as I have a theme to start off with, then I already can start like imagining like different elements to go into the sleeve. And I usually try and like be as creative as possible. Like always push my limits in creativity. To like think of new ideas, things that maybe like I haven't seen before, which is always a bit difficult. I follow a lot of artists on Instagram, so I get a lot of inspiration everywhere. But then at the same time, I think it's important to not like it's really important not to like see a design, think, oh, that's awesome, and then just like pretty much like half rip it off and just like do almost the same thing, just like with different faces or something. So I think it's important to mix it up even more, add some different elements into it, and just like think of something completely outside the box. So that's like the start of the process. And then like usually, like I talked about earlier, either I have like something prepared for the client before they arrive, or they arrive and then we build the design together. And I think that's just as nice as like already having something ready, because when you build the design together with the client, then they also feel like a part of the process. So they also feel like I was a part of the team. Like
it's a part of me on my skin. I understand that. Would you? But do you prefer to just do it in a collaboration with the clients, or when you're trying to kind of make stuff for yourself or stuff, do you have like a process, like you have to have a shower and eat something, or
like a ritual?
Yeah, rituals. I like rituals.
Not really. Like a few years ago, like before I started traveling, I was a really like routine sort of person. Yeah. Like wake up at the same time, like go training, like have a nice breakfast and like things like that. But then like as life happens. Yeah, life happened. Like when you get busier and busier and busier, like I prioritize like designing like the clients and things like that. And like I notice I have like less and less time during the day to like do other things. So like I say like the past year now, like most of my life has been focused on just like the tattoos and just pretty much the tattoos. Yeah. But I feel like next year, I think 2020 is going to be a different year for me. Like in the way that I'm going to be moving back to Norway and having more of a routine to things. And I really can't wait to get like routine back in my life again, because that's like something like life on the road is really spontaneous. It's not every day that you know what's going to happen that day. No. And especially the way I've been traveling, like the guy I'm traveling with, Ike, who's been filming and directing the whole series. Usually it's him that decides where we go in the town. So like I know beforehand, like, all right, we're going to Belgium tomorrow. Like, all right, nice. Okay, and nice. I'm like, I've got other things to where I'm like messaging clients and like working on designs and everything. So I don't go on Google and like, oh, Belgium, oh, we gotta go here. I just we go there and I'm like, all right, where are we doing? Where are we going today? And like he takes me along.
And you're a passenger in your own life.
Yeah, like sort of. But it's been good traveling like it though, because like I've always been like very in control, like a control freak almost with the way I do things. So living the way I've been living like the past years also like changed my way of thinking as well. Yeah. And like bringing more spontaneity into my life, it's been a very good thing, because like you can't predict everything that's going to happen in your life. No, like but most to a certain degree, but like like having the sort of mindset that like living more in the now, and not living too much in the future is.
Well, I kind of know that I'm not going to be in Belgium tomorrow.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Some predictability I like, but also I can see the lure of the spontaneity of it all. Yeah. But all of you guys watching now, I think all of you should go to YouTube and subscribe to Ink the World, so you can follow Kyle's journeys around everywhere. Just do that somewhere. Okay. Yeah. But you've been out basically traveling for a whole year.
Almost a year and a half.
Yeah, almost 18 months actually. You've been traveling both in Norway and in the whole. Where did you go? Like,
you say like the studio that I used to work for, after that shut down, like at the start of last year, like in January, I started traveling a little bit, like around Western Europe, like in Spain, Greece, sort of like that. And then I went back for the summertime. I took over the studio building that I worked for. I had my own studio for a couple of months, and then that's what started like the foundation for my world travels. Yeah. So I gathered a team. I found Ike, who was like my best friend from high school, and another guy, Iron, who I knew like through Ike, but also became like a good friend of mine throughout the past years. They were like my two team, my camera guy and manager, and that's when we started the trip. So our trip started in Europe. We started around like doing Interrail. Started up in where we start. We started in Sweden, actually, and then we like did the whole. No, we started in Britain actually. We started in Manchester.
Yeah, okay,
that was episode 1. Yeah, and then we went from there over to Belgium and Amsterdam, Austria, a lot of countries in Europe. And after Europe, we went to Australia, and I went to Asia, like Hong Kong, Singapore, Japan. Awesome countries. The Philippines was the world's oldest tattoo artist. And then after that, we're going to be going to the US, but like because like an last minute visa application, one of us didn't get into the US, so that like put a pause to the plans. I ended up traveling the US by my own, like meeting people, like building contacts on my own, and then going back to Norway again. But after US, went back to Norway again. I was gonna be tattooing, just like build up my capital again. But instead of staying in Kristiansand, like my hometown, I decided, all right, let's do a Norway tour.
Yeah.
So that's what started the episodes that have just been released in like Ink the World Norway. So like a Norway special, just traveling around the whole Norway in a road trip.
Yeah.
And now we've just finished our last Europe trip, which started right at the end of this summer. And now it's Ink the World season 2 is now finished. It's not been released yet. It will be released within the next couple months, I think. I think it's first episode is out in January, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So we can all look forward to that.
Yeah. Once more, just go to Ink the World on YouTube and
youtube.com/inktheworld.
Okay. So you said 2020 is going to be another kind of year for you.
New chapter.
Yeah, new chapter. We're going to release a new website. We're going to do more of more structure.
Yeah.
And will you still travel and do tattooing?
I will still travel. Travel will always be a big part of me. Like, after traveling so much, like people keep asking me all the time. That's a very, very popular question. People ask me, like, don't you get tired of all the traveling? But like I always answer them like, maybe like if you travel like after traveling so much, you get used to it.
Yeah.
You get used to a change of scenery all the time. And now like I got the question the other day, like, what's home? Like, where's your home? Because I don't have any home.
Where I sleep.
Yeah, exactly. Home is where I sleep.
Yeah.
I can very easily like adapt to different environments. Like when I travel to a new place, I can very easily like feel at home.
Yeah.
So traveling will always like be. I'll be traveling maybe once or twice every month, I think, for like at least the next few years, at least of my career. So yeah, we'll still be traveling.
Okay, let's do some technology questions.
Okay.
iPhone or Android phone?
iPhone. Well, I used to have an Android, but that was until like when I was I think 17 or something.
Mm-hmm.
Then I switched to iPhone, and then I think the user interface is a lot simpler, and because like I have a Mac as well, like exchanging documents is so much easier, like AirDrop, and like you've got the Apple TV and everything. So like they have such a good interface, and
it's nice. What apps do you use the most on your phone?
Instagram, definitely. Instagram is number one. What else? Not that much. I use Lightroom on
Lightroom.
On my iPhone to edit the pictures I post. Like the past like half year, I've been really like focusing on my feed, because like a year or two ago, my feed was way too dark. If you like scroll way down my feed, like everything's so dark that you can hardly see what's happening. I'm surprised that people used to follow me like 2 years ago. Like why? But now I'm more like I've got such a better understanding of light and how that works.
Yeah.
And like when I take pictures of my tattoos, like I don't travel around with like good lighting, like these lightings like this around with me everywhere. So I have to adapt to like taking pictures in like dark environments, but then I have to like edit the lighting to match with how it actually looks like. So I have like a mental picture of like how does the tattoo look like in person, and like you can like ask anyone, like tattoos look different in person than it does in the picture. So like I do my best to like edit it to look more like as real in person as in the picture.
Yeah.
As well, I also start to like add videos to my post as well, so people can see like this isn't like over edited or like anything like that.
Snapchat, TikTok, do you use any of these?
I use Snapchat like now and again, pretty rarely, because like close friends and stuff.
Yeah.
TikTok, I haven't downloaded TikTok yet. But I hear it's a growing thing.
We will download it after this.
We will.
Yeah, we will. I'll show you.
Will people follow me on TikTok?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so.
If for me, it's just a way to play around with creativity in a video format.
Yeah,
and since you're a music guy also, I think you're going to like it quite a lot, because you can play around with music and a lot of there is a lot of room for creativity in TikTok. So we'll play around with it a bit after.
Yeah,
check it out. Okay. What kind of things? You kind of answered my next question, was Instagram or Snapchat.
Right.
Okay. What things are you looking most forward to in the next year?
The next year? Well,
any big plans?
Yeah, I have been in the planning stage of opening up my own studio, which will very likely be in Oslo next year.
Yeah, cool.
So any more than that, I can't say yet, because it's still in the planning stage. But that's what I'm probably looking most forward to, like getting started in this process and like figuring out like the name and like the design and everything. Again, like architecture, like interior design, is still a big part of me. So like I'm looking forward to like designing the studio and everything as well. And I've gotten inspiration from like the past year again, like within the world. We've been traveling and visiting some of the top studios all around every country we've been visiting. And I've been like taking notes and like thinking, what's good about the studio? What have they been doing right? Like with like furniture and like the lighting and like getting like the best ideas from every studio. And so I'm gonna combine them all into like one super studio.
Oh, cool. That's really cool. So eyes up for that. Would you what advice would you give yourself if you could send a message back to Kyle 10 years ago?
Oh, that's a good question. What advice would I keep following your dreams? That sounds really cheesy. Very cliche.
It's very cliche.
Very cliche, but that's pretty much what I've been doing.
Yeah, but you still would have done. So basically, if you could give yourself any advice, you would still do exactly what you have done.
I'd say so.
Cool.
I mean, like, I'm pretty happy with the choices I've made the past few years. I've always had like a sort of mentality that if you think back upon certain things that have happened to you, like the past, like through forever, pretty much, even if it's been like negative experiences or anything, it's all brought you to where you are today.
Yeah.
If you're happy with where you are today, then there has been like no like negative experience in that way that it turned out good in the end.
Yeah. I normally say that I would advise myself to buy stocks in Apple.
Oh, but,
but other than that,
probably that.
Okay, we are now going to start thinking about the process of creating something for this arm.
Yeah. We're doing a sleeve.
We're doing a sleeve with designs and stuff. What are your thoughts on this? Is this something that would be off screen?
How we're going to be going through this. So I think today we're going to be sitting down and thinking about like the design.
Yeah.
Again, like the design process, taking your ideas, thinking like Fibonacci sequence and like Renaissance art and everything. And just sitting down, compiling together different ideas, like doing like brainstorming. And then what I usually do then is like I start with the reference, looking for the references.
Yeah.
So I sit down like on Pinterest usually, because I love Pinterest because the results, it updates all the time.
Yeah.
And then find like really cool references, save them all, and then just like end up with like getting a bigger picture of what can work out, what elements will work out best in different positions in the arm.
Yeah.
So I think we'd start. You can either start on the forearm or the overarm.
Okay.
Like starting on the forearm is like the most popular because people, when you start with the sleeve, you usually want to show it off all the time.
Yeah.
It's like when you're wearing t-shirts, and if you start up here, then like you're covering up a lot. But it's also a good idea to start with the bottom because usually like in sleeves, things are layered, and things are usually layered behind each other. So you have like things at the front, at the bottom, and then it goes behind each other.
Okay.
And the thing you have at the top here is behind everything that's like in front. So
I don't know this at all. So this is quite interesting. So then it would be like you basically were making a 3-dimensional artwork.
Yeah,
basically.
That's usually how I make my designs. It's like creating like an environment.
Yeah.
On the arm. So you have things that are way in the foreground. You have like usually like a background. The background can either be like if you have a portrait, for example, you can have a background which is like if you were to take a portrait picture of someone, and then you have something way in the background which is like you're putting your main element in the foreground, and you're putting it in an environment. So say you've got a portrait of say a pirate, and in the background you put a little bit of ocean and some maybe some clouds, dramatic clouds, maybe some lightning which is striking down. You have some birds flying about, and then you like some tiny birds way in the background. You can have some like bigger birds like closer to the foreground, and maybe you can maybe even have like a bird way in the foreground, maybe sitting on the shoulder of the pirate, like, things like that.
But then you're thinking 3-dimensionally, even if you have like a 1-dimensional surface.
Yeah.
That's much more complicated than I have thought about. But that's interesting. What kind of you use Instagram? No, you use Pinterest. You said.
Yeah. And Photoshop. I put everything together in Photoshop.
Okay.
So another little fun fact about me is like growing up,
you were a nerd, right?
Well, no, I was more like the quiet, like creative kid. It was like sitting in class, just like doing my drawings.
But you like drawing, and you were good at math.
Yeah,
and you also played a lot of The Sims. I have an idea that.
A bit of a nerd.
Yeah. I love nerds. Yeah, I am a great big nerd myself. Yeah. So it's a badge of honor. It's not something that's negative at all.
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm sorry.
Of course. So I grew up like way out in the forest. So like my hobbies again like music, and I wasn't really a fan of sports and all that. But like one thing that I did, like I downloaded Photoshop. I was like maybe 12, 13 or something, and I just loved like photo composition, like yeah. So I loved like just downloading random pictures from Google, and, like placing them together. That's like how I learned how to use Photoshop. Like when I was 13. Yeah. So like when I started the studio. When I was 16, I knew more Photoshop than the boss who worked there. So I was teaching him Photoshop like right from the start. So like Photoshop is like nowadays, like a lot of artists have moved to what's it called, the editing app on iPad. They usually use iPads with Procreate.
Procreate. Affinity.
Yeah, it's usually Procreate is like the growing like popular thing now. But I've always stuck to Photoshop just because like I know the program like in and out. I can do anything in Photoshop. So I'm still most comfortable with that.
Yeah, on my iPad I have Procreate, Photoshop, and Affinity.
Yeah.
So I see you can use a lot of different kind of tools to get the different effects.
Yeah.
You want, but okay. I think we should go get another cup of coffee and then talk about our design. For the people still watching, there are still quite a lot of people watching actually. Very nice to have you all with us. If you, I will put out links for everything in the show notes that's available on Spotify. Just search for Sparringpod. Follow Kyle on Insta, YouTube, whatever. And thank you so much for watching.
Yes.
Have a nice day.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye, guys.